Hey, Jason.
Yes, Craig.
What did the five fingers say to the face?
What do the five fingers say to the face?
Hello.
Welcome back. All right. Okay, so this is a very special Bunny Rabbit's Hole. If you've never been here to the Bunny Rabbit's Hole, what we do is we take one theme each and every week, and we talk about that theme until something inspires us to talk about something different. This one's a little different because he's right here, and I'm right here. So this is the first one we've ever done when we're together.
Yes, you are correct. And as Jason said, we take a central theme and we usually research it for about a week. In this case, 4 long hours. But we also include our opinion. So if you're easily offended, see it.
That's what he was talking about with the five fingers say to the face. Bye-bye.
Right.
It works both ways. Okay. So, like you said, we did 4 hours of research on this one, which will be a lot longer than what this will actually take us to talk about.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
I know a lot of rewrite because this is okay. What are we doing?
We are doing the Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League review.
Exactly.
Spoiler alert.
All right. So the one thing that I do hate in a lot of review videos, especially with like when they were doing WandaVision, I was watching all the Easter eggs and everything after that. But what drove me nuts were some of these videos were like 40 minutes long. Yeah. The episode's only 22 minutes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, our review of the Darby O'Gill and Little People was longer than the film.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're not going to do today.
This will not be a 4.5 hour podcast.
Okay. So with that, where do you want to start?
Start out with, first of all, did you like it?
I really did. I really did because well, I'll go into reasons why I didn't like the other one in a minute, but I enjoyed the film. Did you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was, I'll put it as my second, maybe third favorite DC movie behind Wonder Woman and possibly Aquaman. It's a tight one.
Aquaman was a decent film.
And I'll be that guy that everybody hates. I liked Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern.
Okay. I've never seen it. It was so critically panned and he hated it, so I just never seen it. I will eventually, but I just haven't yet.
It is what it is.
So, all right. Now, the big difference, obviously, between the Josh Whedon and the Zack Snyder is the length.
Yeah. 4 hours. So if you're going to watch this movie, buckle in. It took us 2 days to watch it. We had to watch it in halves.
Yes. Now, I will say this. What I did enjoy about this one compared to the Josh Whedon is the character development.
Yes. Much more backstory, more in-depth backstory. I mean, everybody knows Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman's backstories, but it was nice to finally see Cyborg fleshed out because in Justice League they didn't do that.
No.
And now we have that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, most of us, our first glimpse of Cyborg was Teen Titans.
Right.
You know, and Envies wants to chime in and say it was all about Teen Titans too. Now,
okay, go lay down.
And we go. Now it was cool to see the character fleshed out a little bit. You got a little bit of the story in the other version, but it was so condensed. You didn't know any of you really didn't get a sense of why or how his mom died.
Right. Well,
or how he got into the way he did.
It's funny that we say fleshed out when he only had a little bit of flesh left.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it was cool because I mean, we really didn't know anything about his mother. And you know, the guy that played his father, I can't remember his name, but I loved him in the TV show Eureka. He was really good in that, and he's just a good actor. He's a good character actor.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of things. I don't know what his name is, to be honest. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But
I'll IMDb it while Jason talks.
But they did this whole thing where they show the young character Cyborg before he gets into the accident. It was kind of neat to see the dynamic where he's upset that his father doesn't go to his football game. He plays for the University of Gotham. It's Gotham City University. And he wears his varsity jacket all the way through. He's the quarterback for this team, and they're playing the University of Wisconsin. They end up beating him on the last minute play, but his dad wasn't there to see him.
Yeah, and he scored the winning touchdown.
He scores the winning touchdown.
His dad was played by Joe Morton. He played Henry Deacon in Eureka, if anybody's curious.
There you go. Now, there's a nice little it's not really banter. There's a nice scene where he's in the car with his mom, and his mom's trying to defend the dad, saying he loves him and all this other stuff, and then bam, out of nowhere, truck blindsides him. And then you see, what was his name again?
Joe Morton.
The doctor is in the hospital, and he's hearing that his wife has passed and his son will pass.
Right.
So he goes in to see his son before he dies.
Yep. And then steals the body and makes him a cyborg.
Yes. Using the mother box.
The mother box.
Okay, but we'll go to the mother box a little bit. What else did you like that was kind of different from the other one?
Well, I mean, so I've got some notes and like my notes. Okay, so the movie opens up with the Amazons and the box, doing the whole awakening things. And you got all these Amazons standing around getting ready to stab a box with spears.
Yeah, okay. I'll be the asshole that says it. We're in a day and age where we think progressively towards, women and minorities, but we're trying to say that a civilization run by all women can't create weapons better than a spear, a bow, cavemen. Basically, they're the Romans, okay? Without like Greek fire and any of that shit. They're just...
Hey, they made a magical whip.
Well, yeah, they had some magic...
And bracelets.
They had some magic weapons that were given to them by gods, the old gods, men, but...
Well, no, because they worshipped Athena.
But they also had the old gods, that, like the sword was to kill Ares.
Right. So basically, from the beginning of the movie, the things I caught was that, and then when Aquaman was in the village, and these girls start singing. One girl picks up his sweatshirt that he took off as he went back out in the ocean and smelling it, and then goes back to singing. I'm like sitting there going, smells like BO. Love that.
Yeah, I just got this vision of panty sniffers in my head. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah. Then we jump around a little bit, and then you see Superman's mom leaving their foreclosed home, which we had just seen Batman or Bruce Wayne at the village, trying to recruit Aquaman with the whole sweater sniffing, and that's my scene. That's the name of the scene now. Sweater sniffing.
Okay.
Yeah. So Batman gives basically this village $25,000, so that way, he's trying to recruit Aquaman. He's trying to get in on his good, but he can't afford to save Superman's mom's farm.
Right at that point. Right.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Cheap bastard.
I'm gonna go on I'll play devil's advocate. I'm just saying maybe he didn't know Martha was losing the farm.
He's fucking linked into everything.
Right. Now, the one thing that I thought was a big difference that I felt was interesting was, so the Josh Whedon one starts with Wonder Woman and the terrorists.
Yep.
That's how the movie starts. Now, you see her beat up the terrorists and all this other stuff in the other version. And here, she clearly kills them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Now, because you can't say, well, she just threw them up against the wall. There's blood spatter on the wall
Yeah.
where they hit, okay? She kills every single one of them and then uses her bracelets to blow up the last guy, and it still has an explosion that rains down debris onto the street.
Right.
So, effectively, she did a lot of damage to this building, and she could have done it without any of that.
She didn't have the body count that the Avengers had with that whole peninsula dropping down onto a city.
No, but when you think of Justice League, you think of Batman who doesn't kill. You think of Wonder Woman who is a beacon of morality.
Right.
And she's all of a sudden Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
Judge, jury, and executioner.
I kind of like her that way, to be honest.
Well, I do too. It gives it a new dynamic. But
yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, growing up, I was never a fan of the Wonder Woman character. Not because she was a woman with superpowers. It was the weapons that she had. She's got bracelets, she's got a lasso, and she's got an invisible jet.
Yeah.
And that's all dumb.
Well, at least, now she's got a sword and shield.
Yeah.
But, and it's interesting, and we won't go too deep into this, but like there's a book out there about the history of Wonder Woman. I highly recommend everybody reading that if you're interested in it, because she was created by the man who created the lie detector test, who was he had a brilliant mind. He was a bit of a weirdo. He was a self-proclaimed feminist, but yet he was married to 2 different women at the same time. And Wonder Woman was based off his second wife.
Gotcha. And one of those he ended up regretting. I'll let you choose.
Right. So we go from all the backstory building to Metropolis and Lois Lane, because you had to go to Lois Lane.
Yeah.
We got to include her somehow. And I'm sorry, Amy, you looked run down in this movie.
She did look haggard in this movie.
But it fit the character. She was grieving, stuff like that. But one thing I really enjoyed about that scene when she's going to that memorial is the use of rain to set the mood.
Yes.
I mean, use of atmosphere to set moods is one of the most perfect things that you can do in a movie.
And bringing a scene to dreary is something Zack Snyder knows perfectly. Look at when the comedian died in The Watchmen. They go to the funeral and it's pouring down rain.
Yep.
Look at 3/4 of the movie 300, and there's a lot of rain.
Yep.
There's a lot of overcast and thunder, storms and stuff. But Zack Snyder's a master of dark.
I am going to say this: when you watch this movie, have some energy drinks nearby, because it is very slow.
It's as slow as you would expect a 4-hour movie to be.
Everything was a really slow start. So we get past that, and there was one scene that I really thought was cool. It was you see the statue of Lady Justice, with the scales and all that, and Wonder Woman standing on Lady Justice.
Yeah.
I'm like, that metaphor right there is just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Those little symbolisms really create good story.
Oh yeah, it was. That was actually in the first one too, but there's one problem that I have with that. It's like, okay, she climbs all the way up there to go down to figure out why these people are shooting people in this museum or bank or whatever the hell it was.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have went in there, you probably could have saved the guards.
Right.
But you had to have your photo op. I understand. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she didn't write the story.
No, she didn't. She had 2 different directors telling 2 different versions of the same story. She still ended up there, so I guess that's what she would have done.
Yeah, I mean, there was also a scene where you see Aquaman drinking whiskey and then toss it in the water. Like, dude, you live in the water and you're just gonna fucking litter in the ocean.
He chucks an empty bottle into the ocean.
It's like, seriously, pick up after yourself.
He's a litter bug, but he's only half Atlantean, so right. The human side threw it into the water, and the other guy didn't.
Yeah, that's it.
The other guy was too worried about the waves crashing over the pier that he was walking down.
Right.
It's like, how am I going to get out of this shit?
Right.
So, no, I had an issue with that litter bug scene as well.
Yeah, I mean, so at this point now, we've kind of gone. We did a quick view of all the backstories and stuff. We got some Flash backstory that we didn't get in the first one, like him trying to get a job and saving a girl from a car accident and all that good shit. But Flash in this movie was probably the weakest character.
Mm-hmm. There was one scene in this one that wasn't there that I wish was, because I liked it in the other movie. It was a scene where he's going to see his dad in prison. Now his dad is in prison for killing his mom, but he didn't actually kill her, so he's wrongfully imprisoned, and Barry Allen, the Flash, is trying to prove that he was there. Well, when he's signing in at the security desk, there's a guy that's a bully kind of behind him. He's like, hurry up with this thing. And he turns around and he sees the guy, and then he's got a Sharpie in his hand, and he quickly draws a glasses and a mustache on him and turns around and finish it out. And then when he comes up to, when Barry goes in, the guy comes up there, the security guard looks at him and goes, are those things prescription?
Yeah, I remember that now.
I like that. I thought it was kind of it was throwaway, but it was still funny.
Yep.
And it kind of added a little bit of levity to the character. So I thought it gave it another level of depth. But
yeah, because they tried to turn Flash into the comedian, and the Flash in the comic books was never the comedian.
No.
You know, he was more serious, like Barry Allen from the TV series.
Yeah, right.
You know, but they made in this movie they made Flash look so slow. You know, and I get the whole slowing down his movements while he's in hyperspeed just so you can see what he's doing.
Yeah.
But in the process, making him late to the spot he's supposed to be when if anybody's going to be late, it's not going to be the Flash.
Right. Yeah. You're talking about when he's doing the whole circle thing. And yeah. Now, that I didn't like that scene as well as I did in the first one where they break the mother boxes apart.
Yeah.
Because it had nothing to do with the Flash. It was all about Cyborg, and then he did bring in Superman and both things to break it apart. But when he finally gets the bond between them, there's a cool little thing with him and Superman in the first version, the theatrical version, where he says, or Superman says, "Is this gonna hurt?" He's like, "Yeah, but it's nothing we can't handle."
Right.
And then they break it apart. It blows up. They both fall backwards. You know, and Superman's like, "Oh, okay, that sucked."
Right.
But they couldn't have that in this one because we had this portal opening up to Darkseid and
which is
Desaad and all of them.
Which is another cool thing in this one. You actually get to see Darkseid, which you never saw in the original.
Yeah, so there's so Steppenwolf isn't really a huge character that it's been used a lot. Neither is Desaad, which is the second-hand man in this movie. You don't see him. You see him even less. But the fact that they did some, these are deep cuts bringing these two out,
right,
for this as the two minions. It's almost like the throwaway minion that Thanos had in there that in Guardians of the Galaxy that Ronan kills.
Yeah.
It's almost like bringing Desaad is almost like that guy. It's like you could kill him off and it would, but spoiler alert, that's not the one that dies.
Right. So, in this movie, also Martian Manhunter is introduced, and he is introduced because he plays Martha Kent. He morphed into Martha Kent, went and visited Lois Lane to snap her out of her funk and try to get her to go back to living her life. I kind of thought that was a shitty thing to do because, it kind of takes away from the relationship of Lois and Martha. It seems like something Martha would have done herself.
Right.
It doesn't seem like something Martian Manhunter had to come do and then walk out and transform into an army general or whatever he was.
Right. And that's the role that he's been seen in a couple of the other movies we did. So it's interesting to see that was Martian Manhunter all along.
Right.
But the problem I had with him being Martha Kent is he knew way too much of her backstory.
Yeah.
That he should have been helping. Like Martha goes in there and tells about how she lost the farm, but she doesn't care. It's too big of a house for her anyway. The entire spiel that she says to Lois in the other movie, but Lois is actually working at the time.
Yeah.
She was doing fluff pieces, but she was still working.
Right. Yeah, in this one, she wasn't working at all. She'd basically done. All she does is go to Superman's memorial every day and gets 2 cups of coffee, one for her and one for the cop.
One for the cop. Yeah. So I liked the dynamic in that other scene because it showed a little bit of, it gave Martha was worth a shit in that movie. She was a throwaway character in this one.
Yeah.
That just shows up and goes, "Oh, Clark," and then it's like, "Hey, thank you." And then really she's got 2 scenes in the movie that's actually her.
Yeah. Where
she's leaving the house and coming back to the house.
Right. Yeah, take it for what it is. It is what it is. But
the movie's not about Martha Kent,
right?
Or Clark's / Superman's,
being reborn.
He had his own movie with his parents, so we've already done all that. So,
but it's still, it's just something to me that kind of was like a slap to the face.
It was cheating the character.
Yep. But then, I mean, we go into now we're bringing Superman back to life, using one of the mother boxes like they did with Cyborg, which was cool. And like any movie, when somebody comes back from the dead, they're a bit out of it.
Yeah, he was groggy, didn't know who he was, had some questions,
and just wanted to fuck shit up.
Now, okay, there was a subtle difference between the Flash touching the mother box to supercharge it, and Flash touching it in this one. Now, they made this whole point about you have to touch it at the precise moment it touches the water. Okay, and then it activates the biocomputer pool that they have, the same pool that would Doomsday was created by Lex Luthor. Now, a bigger difference was the Kryptonian ship was actually saying, "Don't do this."
Yeah.
What in the Zack Snyder version, the original, it just doesn't do it. It gives full control to Cyborg. Cyborg does what he wants, drops the box, comes down. Barry touches it at the exact moment the point touches, breaks the seal of the water. It does its thing, brings Superman back to life. Now here, there's a subtle difference because he doesn't touch it at the precise moment that it does it. It's already hit the water, but because he's going faster than the speed of light, time starts to reverse.
Yep.
As the box hits, it comes back up. He touches it at that precise moment. Time rewound as he's coming to it, because he said time reacts weird.
Yep.
When I hit the speed of light. And I felt that's really important for what's going to happen.
Yeah.
For them to make that subtle little change.
Yeah. And I also like the fact that, when Cyborg is hooked up to the ship, he gets a vision of what's going to happen when they do what they're going to do. That, the world's going to be demolished and Superman's going to kill everybody, and, and he's going to basically be a minion of Darkseid.
Yeah.
Darkseid.
Darkseid.
Right.
So, and let's go into that post-apocalyptic world. So, Batman and Batman versus Superman has this vision of the Flash coming to him and saying, Lois is the key. Lois is the key to everything. Now, in the vision, Lois somehow dies.
Right.
And Superman freaks the fuck out.
Yep.
He blames everybody on Earth.
Yeah.
And now he's hunting, kind of like in the Dark Knight Returns, not the movie thingy, but the actual
graphic novel,
where Batman is older, superheroes are outlawed, but what do you do with Superman? You employ him for the government to go hunt superheroes. And that's kind of what he's doing here, but he's doing it for
Darkseid.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's cool. And like the whole Lois is key thing comes back at the end of the movie too. But what kills me, Batman even says in this movie he has 6 satellites.
Yes.
So Steppenwolf got his motor running.
Yep.
He had it out on the highway, and he created this giant freaking glowing red dome over this. Probably it's part of a city because there was like buildings and shit in it.
Yeah, it was over a huge part of a nuclear plant and the surrounding area.
But yet Batman didn't know where they were.
Well, so when he's talking about the satellites, we better get back to my lab and look at one of my satellites. Cyborg says, "I'm on it."
Yeah.
Now Cyborg there's no fire. His father says there's no firewall that can stop him. There's no computer that can stop him. There's no code that can stop him.
Right. They didn't have to go back to the lab to do it.
He said he was on it. He should be able to pinpoint where they were. Then they just jump on have the fucking carrier come pick them up.
Right. No, they have to go all the way back to the lab.
Waste time.
And there's a lot of wasting time in this fucking movie.
It was almost like it was almost like the Hobbit movies. If you watch the Hobbit movies, there's so many different times in this movie that they could just go to the mountain. The whole thing is about them getting to this mountain. to fight the dragon, to get the throne, and then do but there's a part where they fall off the cliff, get picked up by the eagles, and then they fly away, but the eagles drop them off on another cliff, and they're all standing there at the end of the movie looking at the mountain off in the distance. Hey, bird, can you just take us over there?
Right.
What the fuck? We just saved ourselves 2 fucking movies. But it was kind of that feel that they could have. Now, had they not gone back to the thing, they could have been there before the mother boxes created the unity. Before when the 3 boxes connect, and they sync up, they become the unity, which is a world destroyer.
Right.
Now they could have been there before that actually happened, because they get there as the moment it's too late.
Right. And like the whole reason why Darkseid wanted Earth, well, DC's Earth, was because they had the anti-life
equation.
Yes. Etched into the planet's surface.
No, what it is, I don't know. No. I don't. Okay.
Looked like a shitload of symbols to me.
It looked big. There's a big Omega symbol right in the middle of it. So here's a disclaimer. It should have been at the beginning of this thing, not at the end. We grew up Marvel fans, and outside of the Justice League, didn't give 2 shits about DC until we got older.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of the backstory and a lot of those little things, subtle things like an old school Marvel would, stories that we would know.
Yeah.
Like, the original Secret Wars, we read those as they came out.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. But there's a lot of these little subtle DC stories that I don't know personally.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I read a little bit of DC when I was younger, but I mean, DC was like generic Marvel at the time.
Yeah, well, it was, there's a lot of cool DC characters, I will say this. And
I was a huge Green Lantern fan growing up. I love Green Lantern. And
there was a lot of cool things about DC, and I learned a lot of this later in life, that I used to say that this character was ripped off from Marvel. This character, turns out that they weren't.
Right.
It was the other way around. Yeah. But they did a lot of, it's like, oh, you got this character, we're gonna have this character, and back and forth. And then, but Jack Kirby worked for both.
Yeah. At
points of time. So there was a lot of stuff that Jack Kirby create. He would create. Oh, what shit? It's in this one. The fourth world.
Something like
that. Jack Kirby created this whole thing, but he also created at the same time. He created all the Immortals.
Yep.
For Marvel. So it's like they're very similar, and you can't really blame either one because the same guy did it.
Right. And Jack Kirby was probably the most used comic book artist back in that time for both companies. I mean, he created so much with Stan Lee and with DC.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the best artist. I'll be the first to say it. All of his characters were like blocky and stuff like that, but he knew how to make it work. He knew how to use his skills to make these things look visually appealing.
Yeah. I think it was the creativity of creating the actual character themselves.
Yeah. Which
was his genius.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that like Stan Lee. They're like, he finally gave up on a lot of backstories. He's like, let's just call them mutants and say they're born like this.
Yeah.
But he didn't draw Wolverine. He didn't draw the Hulk. Right. He didn't draw Spider-Man. He was credited with creating all these characters, but he didn't draw them. He had the idea. It's like pitched some ideas to some artists, had them draw some sketches, and like, we'll go with that one.
Well, and what he did, and this was, and I think it still is to this day, the Marvel way of writing a comic book, is the writer will write a 1-page synopsis of what the entire comic book is going to be about. The artist will then go through and decide, what goes where, and then they will draw the entire comic book, and then the writer will go back in and write all the dialogue and all the caption boxes and everything else, and then the rest of the people come in and take over the rest of the comic book.
Right. That makes sense. But yeah, so like, what the fuck the anti-life equation is?
No clue.
I have no idea. I'm waiting to watch it with you.
Right. But even the fights were slow.
And so, yeah.
I mean, even when it didn't involve the Flash, I mean, I mean, there was the fights were good, and it was kind of neat that they were slow because you could really see the characters moving, but it got overplayed.
Yeah, and there was a few things that they did that I liked in the Josh Whedon one better, to be honest. You know, and I know a lot of people are like, well, Zack Snyder version is this Zack Snyder? So, case in point, the whole scene where Cyborg is shooting all the rockets at Steppenwolf under the harbor.
Yeah.
And he catches the one, turns it, and it shoots it into the wall. And then he skips out of there. The wall bursts open. Water starts shooting out. Okay. Basically, it looks different because Steppenwolf obviously looks different.
Right.
But I didn't like the idea that you saw Aquaman come through the water.
Yeah.
In this version, you didn't end the other one, and then it was a surprise when he stabs the trident into the thing and holds the water off so that they can escape.
Right. The trident he said he would never carry.
Yes. Now I like the ta-da! Here I am, thing of he just showed up.
Yeah.
Not you saw him come through and then come in and it's that it was a bit much.
Yeah, and I mean, let's go through the characters. Like I thought Cyborg was cool as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed Cyborg. Love Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
She was great. I even liked Superman, and I'm not a big Superman fan because I think he's just too OP.
Yeah, way.
I like Martian Manhunter, the way they introduced him. I mean, because you see him again at the end. But, okay, this is a prime example why you never fucking use Ben Affleck in a superhero movie. I don't know why we haven't learned from the past yet, but we keep repeating it. Sucked as Daredevil, sucks as Batman. Get him out of superhero movies.
Right.
I mean, it basically made Batman look like a bloated, can't fight, just shoot guns guy.
If he would have played Batman years ago, he would at least look the part.
Yeah.
If he would have played Batman back when he was playing Daredevil, he would have looked the part. But he's got that old man chubby face now that you can't get rid of. I've got it too. So, he's so. If you go back to the original, like Joel Schumacher, Tim Burton era Batman movies, you look at those people and you go, okay, Michael Keaton did an okay Batman, but he wasn't the best Bruce Wayne.
No.
Val Kilmer, terrible Batman, but a great Bruce Wayne. George Clooney, really good Bruce Wayne, not so good Daredevil, or not so good Batman.
Right.
And that's kind of what I felt with Ben Affleck was. Yeah. I felt that
good Bruce Wayne.
He was a good older Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
The former Playboy Bruce Wayne. I think he pulled that part off well.
Right.
But the grizzly voiced, black-eyed Batman.
And the effect they put on his voice every time he talked when he was the Batman, that was annoying.
That's a Chris Nolan thing that he did with Christian Bale. And those Batman is, there's no voice modulator on there's nothing there.
It's basically just a chorus effect that you put in.
Your voice shouldn't change.
Right.
He's not, it's not Iron Man. He doesn't have a fucking mask on over his mouth.
The guy that got to play the Flash, I would say keep looking.
So
I didn't think he was a good actor. I didn't think he fit the part. I
think he was a second-rate Justin Long.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. And so they're going to make a Flash movie.
Okay.
He's still Flash.
Okay.
But they recast his dad of all things.
I liked his dad.
Right. So his dad, I can't remember his name. His dad was the guy who played Dr. Manhattan in The Watchmen. They're replacing him with Ron Livingston, who played the dude from Office Space, the guy who just didn't give a shit about his job anymore.
Oh yeah.
That's
the one whose last stand was the stapler.
No, that's Melvin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can't remember that. It's been so long since I've seen it. So, but
he's the one that dates Jennifer Aniston in the movie.
Okay,
but
it's without giving away too much of the movie. I don't know how long we've been doing this now. I didn't look when we started.
It was a little after 3.
Okay, but I mean, the fight scenes were both good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
get somebody new to play Flash, get somebody new to play Batman. The rest of the cast is great.
Yeah.
You know, and even though Amy looked a little rough as Lois Lane, she was supposed to be. She was grieving.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I'm with you. I buy that. But some of the other stuff, I'm just like, And I don't know. Who's your favorite Superman?
Outside of, you know, obviously the obvious answer is Christopher Reeve, because that was the first Superman I saw on screen. You know, but you know what? I'm going to say him.
Yeah, Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Yep. Same here.
So I know he was looking at leaving the part, and then they were going to bring back Brandon Roth, who played in Man of Steel. I think it was Man of Steel, or yeah, it was Man of Steel. I was not.
No,
he kind of looked the part, but I'm sorry, Henry looks like Superman.
Well, not only that, but Brandon Roth does better in Legends of Tomorrow, where he gets to play the geeky guy. Because when it comes down to it, that's what he is. Even though, honestly, Henry Cavill is a geek.
Yeah.
I mean, his pastime is he doesn't like to go out partying. He'd rather stay home, play video games, read comic books, and
he's awesome in The Witcher.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, go see that. That's really good.
But
second season's coming.
But he's what geeks aspire to be. I mean, ripped to shit.
Yeah, he's like
he's the anti-geek geek.
He's another Vin Diesel, but he didn't change his name.
Right.
Vincent.
So, I mean, but he does good. He does a good stoic Superman who is, worrying about that line that he's crossing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that in his eyes. That's what I love about him.
Right.
Is he not only acts out the character, but he becomes the character. And so you can see that character in his eyes, even in The Witcher.
Yeah.
I was
the first episode of The Witcher I had a hard time with. It was like, okay, this is fucking Superman with long hair.
I haven't watched it.
Okay. This is Superman with long hair. It's Superman with long hair. And it only took me about half of the episode to forget that he was fucking Superman.
Yeah. I think
which is a great thing, because that would have ruined the whole series for me had I not been able to get past that, because then the man would have been fucking typecast as nothing but.
Right. Well, and see, for me, I watched like 10 minutes of The Witcher and stopped watching it for some reason, never went back to it. It wasn't because I didn't like it, it's because I had something else going on, I think.
Yeah, and it's one of those things you really have to pay attention to, because it's only like 10 episodes, but there's like 3,000 characters.
Right. And
they all have stupid names, and they're hard to keep track of.
Right. Parts of this movie I liked was after the fight and they beat Steppenwolf and kill Steppenwolf and basically toss him back to Darkseid through the portal, and his head pops off and Darkseid crushes the head, was when they get back and Wonder Woman and Bruce Wayne are with Alfred, and they're in the Wayne Manor. And he's like, okay, Alfred, put a big round table right there with 6 seats. And Diana, Wonder Woman was like, with room for more. So opens it up. Yeah, we're going to have the full Justice League. I mean, if you go back through the comic books, Justice League had a huge member base.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I mean, Avengers has a huge member base, but most of them are on call.
Yeah, and you can go back through pretty much every Marvel hero at some point in time. They were a member of the Avengers.
Yeah.
Every good member of the DC characters is still a member of the Justice League.
Right. I mean, they may not be involved in that storyline or whatever, but they're there if they're needed. Yeah. And it's the same with the Avengers, because even the ones that aren't with them anymore are still basically on call with them.
Yes.
It's like, but usually the Avengers, they keep it to 6 to 8 members. Otherwise, it gets to be too much. I mean,
right.
You look at like cartoons growing up. We watched Justice League of America growing up, and 17,000 members in this thing, and you're like going, Jesus, how do you keep track and get everybody equal time?
Right.
You can't do it. But that's why I like the Avengers. So like 6 or 8 characters, they each get a little bit more me time. Let me shine.
Right. Now, I want to go into one character that's in this movie that was probably the most anticipated moment of the Zack Snyder movie, was the Joker showing up. Okay. Now, I'm a big fan of most of Jared Leto's work. I'm not, however, a fan of his Joker.
No. Heath Ledger, he's not.
Exactly. And if you've seen Joaquin Phoenix's Joker,
I haven't seen that yet.
I mean, he brings it from a level of pain to you want to be the Joker by the time that movie's over with, to where he gets to. It's like, that was amazing. Heath Ledger was amazing.
Yep.
Jared Leto.
Even Jack Nicholson was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit.
The old dude from
the
Adam West ones.
Yeah, he was
Caesar
Romero.
Yeah.
Because he was in, we did the computer who wears tennis shoes, and he was the bad guy in that movie.
Right.
Loved him in it.
Yeah. I liked his laugh the best.
Yes, by far.
Because he played it out, man. It was awesome.
So, with that being said, it's like I wasn't as stoked to see that scene as I was to finally see Joe Manganiello play Deathstroke.
Yes.
And he got a few moments of screen time in this movie, which is really cool.
Yep.
And you saw pre-apocalypse, post-apocalypse, which is cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love Joe Manganiello. He plays D&D. He's
another one of those geeks.
Yep.
But he was also in the last Pee Wee Herman movie, which he was hilarious in. But overall, I think it was a really good movie. And
yeah. I mean, it was slow, but again, 4 hours. But there wasn't a lot of filler. It was all plot points.
Yes. And I like how they broke it up. They broke it up into part 1, part 2, part 3, and I think it was like 7 parts or 6 parts.
Or 6 or 7, yeah.
There was 6 parts and an epilogue.
Yeah.
I liked how they broke it up like that, because we finally got to part 5, I'm like, fucking time out. We'll watch the rest tomorrow.
Yep.
We gotta, process what we've just seen. But what I really liked about this was, everything was, even though the parts were slow, everything was there for a purpose.
Yep.
There wasn't much throwaway. You get to a lot of scenes in different movies. It's like you stretch that part out, and it really didn't need to be that way. Yeah. There were some glimpses of that, but each and every aspect of this, springboarded the next scene.
Yeah, it really did. And I mean, I beat up on the Flash, but he did have a cool redemption moment where, he was trying to break the speed, or he was keeping up pace, so that way when he was needed, he could jump in to help Cyborg become one with the mother boxes, and then one of the Parademons?
Yes.
Sees the light basically circling, and then just takes aim, and he'll see the glimpse of his head every time, then timed it and shot him, wounded him, made him fall right at the time he was supposed to hit Cyborg. And so, and he even says it, he's like, I have to break the one rule, which is reverse time. And this is where, when Batman said earlier, Lois is the key, because it goes back to when Lois Lane died in one of the Superman movies, and Superman spun around the world.
Superman 1 with Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. He flew around the world so fast that it reversed time and brought Lois back to life.
Yes. So
that's why Lois is the key, because Flash had to break that rule in order to save the world. So basically, Flash saved the world. His character just sucked.
Yeah, right. And then, that's another thing. Kind of like with the Martha Kent thing, they downplayed her, but they downplayed Flash because he saved the world, but nobody remembers.
Right.
Or nobody will know.
Right.
I guess true heroes don't look for recognition, but in this case, nobody will ever know that he reversed time. And
well, they will if they watch the movie.
Yeah. But I don't think they're going to spend 4 hours doing it.
No. Hold on, bad guys. We got to watch this movie. Give us 4 hours. Then go back to robbing the bank.
Yeah, exactly. Going forward for this universe, I have no idea what Warner Brothers has in store for this. I don't know if Zack Snyder is going to direct the next one. I've heard there's going to be a Flash movie that's in the works. Wonder Woman 1984 was a decent movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
It was not a good sequel to the second movie, or to the first movie. I mean, it was good. It was serviceable, but it was nowhere as charming or as endearing as the first movie was. I mean, you fell in love with Wonder Woman in the first movie. It was, I mean, she was.
I fell in love with Wonder Woman when it was Linda Carter.
Yeah, but I mean, you just grew this appreciation for the character in the first one, and her pursuit for justice.
Yep.
You know, and so, but the second one wasn't like, but it didn't have anything to do with this timeline because it still happens in 1984. Some of the characters that are fighting in this movie hadn't even been born yet.
Right.
So.
Yeah, like most of them.
Most of them.
But I mean, it's all right. So it was a good movie. Would I sit down and watch it again? Probably not.
It might be something I have on in the background in parts.
Yep.
At times, I don't know if it did. Am I happy that HBO and Warner Brothers threw money at Zack Snyder to finally put this together after the internet and the world were wanting to know or wanting to see this?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, once again, like the Rick and Morty getting fucking Szechuan sauce back on a McDonald's menu for a limited time. You know, the internet has a voice and sometimes it's heard.
Yep.
Thank you, Warner Brothers. Thank you, HBO, for making this happen. Because it was, I think it was, I mean, yeah, it was 4 hours, but it was 4 hours well spent.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've knocked a lot of shit in the movie, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not like Siskel and Ebert go, God, 2 thumbs down. No, you know, if I gotta put it on a scale of 1 to 10, it's gonna be about a 7 or an 8.
And it was on form for a Zack Snyder movie. It's dark imagery, slow, you know, down-tuned, methodic songs.
Slow builds.
Yeah, slow builds. It was, you know, a lot of slow motion action scenes. You know, it was right in his wheelhouse. And there was a lot of that stuff that he had shot when he started, because I don't know if you guys know, but he directed most of the movie. And then for a personal family reason, he stepped aside. They brought in Joss Whedon because Joss Whedon directed the first Avengers movie.
Right.
So Joss tried to use the exact same formula that he did for the Avengers. I'm not going to break it down because there's several YouTube videos out there that break down point by point from Justice League to Avengers and why this one didn't work and this one did. But there was a lot of the footage that we got to see in this movie that he had shot, and then Joss Whedon had shot other stuff instead, so that we didn't get to see everything.
Right.
And then we got to see a lot of the shit that we otherwise never would have seen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I love the post-apocalyptic stuff. I love the visions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought that stuff was cool. I think it could add to an alternate reality series.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool as hell.
Exactly. And eventually I'm hoping that we'll get to the point where there's a lot of these old graphic novels that they're turning into cartoons right now, which is cool, like The Killing Joke and The Dark Knight Returns. And they just announced a couple others that they're bringing to light. A lot of the Constantine books are that way. But I'm hoping that one day some of those will become actual live action movies.
Right. You know, and again, we're not the biggest DC fans, but I'll still watch the movies.
Oh, definitely. I'm still a sucker. I've always been a sucker for superhero action movies.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I've seen every one of the Marvel movies. I've seen all of the DC movies so far.
Yep.
So,
I mean, shit, I saw Captain America back in 1984. That one that came out, made for TV movie.
Yeah, exactly. I remember Spider-Man being on Electric Company. That's the only reason I watched that besides the...
Well, there was a Spider-Man made for TV movie too.
Yeah. You know, we did watch Linda Carter as Wonder Woman.
Yep. And was it Bill Bixby as
the Incredible
Hulk and with Lou Ferrigno?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, you know, we've had a long history watching this shit. You know,
yep.
I mean, to be honest, it's been a dream come true to be able to see all these with a decent budget, with a decent plot, good directors and
good
actors.
Yeah,
playing them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we are superhero connoisseurs.
Yeah, sorts.
To be uppity and snooty. Yeah. So everybody, you know, now is the time where you look at your screen and go, fuck you guys, you don't know shit.
Exactly. So, all right. We watched the movie. We liked it.
Yes, did. And so, you know, normally I say peace out, love you guys. This time I'm going to say make mine Marvel.
Insert hero here.